All right, straight into a Fox News alert. A massive manhunt now underway for the terrorist who opened fire at a bar in Tel Aviv, Israel, killing 2 people and injuring several others, all with a smile on his face. This happening in a busy part of the city. Several sections of the city now have been closed off as that search continues.
The suspect was caught on surveillance video from inside a grocery store. He's seen casually going through several items before pulling out a machine gun from his backpack and opening fire. In a different surveillance video, this one from the bar right next door, you see the gun as the man fires on the crowd of people while others try to take cover.
Oof. Local media reporting the shooter is from a village in northern Israel and a member of Israel's Arab minority. They're also calling the shooting a nationalistically motivated terrorist attack. This follows a wave of Palestinian attacks against Israelis over the past few months. Someone who knows that area very well, has traveled there often, is the former governor of Arkansas and current presidential candidate, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, nice to see you this morning. We just want to get your reaction immediately to this latest news out of Tel Aviv.
Well, it's another tragedy that the Israelis have to put up with, and amazingly, there are still people in the world who want to blame Israel for the conflict with the Palestinians when, you know, this is a classic example of someone, he had a Quran in his backpack. It's clearly motivated by jihad, and he goes in and just indiscriminately murders people and would have murdered many more. It's an incredible kind of tragedy, but one of the things you notice when you go to Israel is that people there have such a resolve. They don't cower. They don't just say, well, that's it, we're not going to go out anymore. They buckle up, they go back, and they stoutly refuse to be bowed by terrorists. And it's a tragedy they have to live this way, but yet they do.
Yes, they do. And their response is so interesting to me. So Israel has built a wall, and they wouldn't even consider moving into their country thousands of Muslim refugees. Hillary Clinton is totally fine with that. She supports Israel, and good for her. But when a presidential candidate in this country suggests doing the same things here, he's a fascist. Why is that?
Well, it's because of the idiocy of many of our left-wing politicians. They just are completely oblivious to reality. I have flown in a helicopter the entire length of the Israeli security wall from one end to the other. The year before that wall was built, there were 1,000 suicide bombers a year that were getting into Israel, killing children, blowing up school buses, blowing up cafes. The year after that wall was built, there were 0 suicide bombers. It was simply a matter of protecting the innocent people who didn't deserve to every day go to coffee and wonder whether they were going to be blown up by a suicide bomber. Israel has shown a lot more good sense than the Americans have when it comes to protecting their citizens.
And, Governor, still on terrorism here, terrorists have recently, well, they've taken on Donald Trump to a certain extent. The al-Qaeda affiliate al-Shabaab has released this new recruitment video, and it features, actually, the GOP frontrunner, Donald Trump in the video. What do you think about that? They're coming into our politics, and they're thinking that this is something they could use to help with their recruitment.
Well, I don't think it's going to make a big difference in terms of changing their attitudes or ours. We need to understand we are at war with radical Islam, and they're going to use any tool they can to recruit. They're going to try to exploit, but it doesn't mean that one candidate is more susceptible to outraging them, because the fact is, and I've said this so many times, these are not people you can sit down and reason with or rationalize with. These are crazy people, fanatically crazy. I don't mean crazy in a clinical sense, but crazy in a religious, fanatical sense, and there is no way to have a conversation that brings them to the table, because they want to kill us. And until we recognize that, we're going to see more of us getting killed. It's really that simple, Molly.
We want to get your take also on what President Obama is set to do. He's been in Hawaii. He's been relaxing, kicking back. He has been complaining that Congress has not taken action on gun control legislation. He says he's been receiving so many letters over the past many months from families that want gun control legislation in this country, and they haven't gotten it. So the president is set to meet with Attorney General Loretta Lynch on Monday to discuss some of these executive actions that he could take, tightening gun laws and focusing on some of these small-scale sellers where they would have to register with the ATF before selling those weapons. What do you make of this?
This is a total ruse. This is classic Obama. It's the sleight of hand. When he leaves office, he needs to start a magic show, because he's got his trick going on in one hand while he's calling attention to the other. Not one of his proposals would have prevented Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, Aurora, all of these terrible acts of violence that he says he wants to stop, not one of them would have been changed as a result of his proposals. He keeps talking about things like the gun show loophole. There is no gun show loophole. It simply doesn't exist. That is one of the great myths. And the fact is, if he's really serious about curbing gun violence, keep in mind there are two common denominators in most of these attacks. One, they're in gun-free zones, and two, it involves mental illness. Neither of these are his target. He's simply going after people who want to protect themselves from crazy people and from those who would take a gun and shoot us. And I think he's got the total wrong approach to this. Gun owners who are legal and responsible are there to protect themselves because they don't want to wait helplessly for the cops to arrive 20 minutes later. And I don't know why he seems to create these false straw men and go after them, but that's his motive. All I can say is I can't wait for this next year to be over. His presidency needs to come to a conclusion.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's an opportunist. So a lot of us have New Year's resolutions. Yours, among them anyway, is to hold 150 campaign events in the state of Iowa in the month of January. Is that even physically possible? How are you going to do that, and when are you going to sleep?
Well, sleep is not something one does in a campaign anyway, but we have a very rigorous schedule throughout January. By Thursday of this week, I will have visited all 99 counties in Iowa since the middle of May when I announced my candidacy. So that's what everybody here calls the full Grassley, because Senator Grassley goes to every one of the 99 counties every year. We will have done it in about 6 months. And over the next 30 days, we're going to hit 150 events. So needless to say, if you're somewhere in Iowa, chances are you're going to bump into me.
Do you have flashbacks to 2008? You were down the polls. After 9 months, you surge and you win the Iowa caucuses in 2008, of course. And yeah, it was an impressive victory, huge evangelical turnout for you. Do you think you can have a repeat of 2008 there with this strategy?
You know, if I didn't think we could and if I didn't think we would, I would simply go home, put my feet up, and watch all of this. Of course I think we can do it, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're doubling down. 8 years ago, we got more votes than anyone in the history of the caucus, and we didn't do it with fancy advertising and a lot of money and a lot of bravado. We did it by grinding it out the old-fashioned way, going to all these counties, meeting voters, getting their commitments to come caucus for us. I don't know of any other way to do it. If there's a shortcut, I'm sure I would have loved to have taken it, but I believe that the best way is the way that Iowa typically responds. That is, they want you to come, shake their hand, look them in the eye, answer their questions, and spend some time with them. That's exactly what we're going to do in 150 events during the course of the month of January.
Retail politicking so important in those early voting states.
Man, good luck. Don't get sick.
No sleep.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks, Governor.
Good to see you.